Sustainable Rule of Law initiatives, the University of Hastings School of Law, and several respected international ADR leaders are proud to present the summit in New Delhi. This is the first of its kind of a summit in India. The summit has been developed to foster one-on-one dialogue between experts in the field of dispute resolution throughout the Asia-Pacific region and the world. The summit will also focus on a wide variety of topics, engaging a range of experienced dispute resolution practitioners, academics, judges, attorney, mediation and arbitration professional organizations, and users such as international, corporate representatives, and government entities. And now, ladies and gentlemen, I have the proud privilege in inviting on stage our Honorable Chief Guest, Honorable Mr. Justice T.S. Thakur, Judge Supreme Court of India. Please put your hands together to welcome him. I also invite our guest of honor, Honorable Mr. Justice J.S. Kheher, Judge Supreme Court of India. Please put your hands together to welcome him. I invite Mr. Jim Silkinen, immediate past President, American Bar Association, to kindly join us on the dais. I invite Mr. Reno Sorial, Secretary of UNCITRAL and Director of the International Trade Law Division of the Office of Legal Affairs of the United Nations, to kindly join us on the dais, please. Ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together to welcome Mr. Reno. I welcome Ms. Geeta Ravindra, Chair, American Bar Association, Section of Dispute Resolution, to kindly join us on the dais. I welcome Mr. Niranjan Bhatt, President, Association of Indian Mediators, to kindly join us on the dais. Please put your hands together to welcome. I welcome Mr. Sri Ram Panchu, Vice President, Association of Indian Mediators. And ladies and gentlemen, I also welcome Mr. Amarjeet Singh Chandiok, Vice President, Association of Indian Mediators, to kindly join us on the dais. And ladies and gentlemen, I would request all our distinguished dignitaries to kindly take your seats on the stage, please. Thank you. And ladies and gentlemen, as is customary, we begin an auspicious occasion by invoking the gods and goddesses. Today we invoke Goddess Saraswati with Saraswati Vandana. Goddess Saraswati is the goddess of learning and knowledge, and today we pray to her for the guidance and success of the summit.
शुक्लां ब्रह्म विचार सार परमा आद्यं जगत व्यापिनी वीणा पुस्तक धारिणी अभयदां जड्यन्धकरापहा हस्ते स्फटिकमालिका विधति पद्मासने संस्थिता वन्दिता बुद्धिप्रदां शारदा सर्वे भवन्तु सुखिनः सर्वे सन्तु निरामयाः सर्वे भद्राणि पश्यन्तु मा कश्चित् दुःखभाग् भवेत् या कुन्देन्दु तुषारहार धवला या शुभ्र वस्त्रावृता या वीणावरदण्डा मणितकरा या श्वेत पद्मासना या ब्रह्माच्युत शाङ्कर प्रभृतिभिर्देवैः सदा वन्दिता सा मां पातु सरस्वती भगवती निःशेष जाड्यापहा सर्वेषां स्वस्तिर्भवतु सर्वेषां शान्तिर्भवतु सर्वेषां पूर्णं भवतु सर्वेषां मङ्गलं भवतु ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः
Thank you very much indeed for beautifully rendering the Saraswati Vandana. And now, ladies and gentlemen, I have the privilege in requesting our Honorable Chief Guest, our guest of honor, and our distinguished dignitaries on the dais to kindly light the traditional lamp and formally inaugurate the summit. For the benefit of our international delegation present here, ladies and gentlemen, the diya when lit emits light and derives energy. It is this very energy which is the life force that sustains us. Each wick being lit and passed from one to another symbolizes the sharing of knowledge. And with that, please put your hands together as the summit has been formally inaugurated by our Honorable Chief Guest. And as I said, each wick being lit and passed from one to another symbolizes the sharing of knowledge, and each wick being lit today is a prayer for global peace and solidarity. Once again, let's put our hands together for the traditional inauguration of the summit. Ms. Geeta Ravindra doing the honors. She's Chair, American Bar Association, Section for Dispute Resolution. Thank you very much indeed for kindly doing the honors of inaugurating the summit by lighting the traditional lamp. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I have the privilege in inviting Ms. Geeta Ravindra, Chair, American Bar Association, Section of Dispute Resolution, to kindly give a welcome address. Please put your hands together to welcome Ms. Geeta Ravindra.
Thank you, Sapna, for that very kind introduction. Good evening, everyone, and suswagata. It is indeed my sincere honor and pleasure to give a very warm welcome to the honorable judges of the Supreme Court of India, the honorable judges of the Delhi High Court, the Honorable Chief Justice of Singapore, the American Bar past president, Mr. Silkenet, the Secretary of UNCITRAL and Director of the International Trade Law Division of the Office of Legal Affairs of the United Nations, Mr. Renaud Sorial, respected delegates, distinguished guests, and my fellow mediators and dispute resolution practitioners from around the world, my hearty, sincere welcome to all of you for the ABA Asia Pacific International Mediation Summit. My heart is indeed bursting with joy on this momentous occasion. This is the ABA Section of Dispute Resolution's first summit convened in India in collaboration with the Association of Indian Mediators, with the UNCITRAL Regional Center for Asia Pacific, with the Singapore International Mediation Center, with the Foundation for Sustainable Rule of Law Initiatives, with the UC Hastings School of Law, and a core planning group of distinguished colleagues from the United States and the Asia Pacific region. I want to express my sincere gratitude for the support of all of our co-organizers and co-sponsoring organizations for their amazing support, because without it, this program would not have at all been possible. And this beautiful and grand inaugural, which is being sponsored by the Association of Indian Mediators. I was born in Mysore, India, in South India, and moved to the United States at the age of 2. It is so wonderful for me to come home to my motherland, India, on this truly special occasion. Over the past 20 years, I have worked in the field of alternative dispute resolution, and I have enjoyed my membership in the American Bar Association section of dispute resolution. The dispute resolution section is the premier dispute resolution organization in the United States, and we seek to advance fair, prompt, and cost-effective dispute resolution by supporting innovative research, education, resources, debate, and collaboration on dispute resolution policy and practices. For over a decade, I have enjoyed relationships with dedicated thought leaders in the field of dispute resolution who have been instrumental in the tremendous development of ADR and mediation, both in India and in the US. This summit is a dream that I have had to bring the wealth of knowledge and experience in the field of dispute resolution from the East and the West together so that we may learn from each other and share with each other. Today, all of you have made this dream a remarkable reality. Throughout the world, ADR is seen as an excellent means to increase access to justice for populations that cannot or will not use the traditional court system, and to address conflict in culturally appropriate ways. With the spread of ADR programs in the developed and developing world, creative uses for and designs of ADR systems are proliferating. Successful court-annexed and commercial ADR programs are improving the lives of individuals and meeting very broad societal goals. There is enormous dispute resolution expertise in this hall. Indeed, this summit is bringing together judges, academicians, and very experienced practitioners from 18 countries: India, the US, Canada, Pakistan, Nepal, Bangladesh, Indonesia, Vietnam, Thailand, Korea, China, Hong Kong, Singapore, Fiji, the Philippines, France, Australia, and Russia. And please forgive me if I have missed any country. And I look forward to the incredibly stimulating presentations and engaging discussions that we will be enjoying over the next 3 days. The goal for this summit is to support capacity building, advance collaborations, build networks, and promote cross-culture awareness and understanding of mediation and dispute resolution processes throughout the Asia-Pacific region. To ensure that we do not simply attend a very good conference and then go home and perhaps not continue these connections, we are going to initiate a number of post-summit projects. First, with the very kind support of Modria, namely Ms. Chittu Nagarajan and Mr. Colin Rule, We are streaming this very inaugural and many of the plenary sessions, and we will videotape these sessions so they may be available for everyone in attendance and for later use for educational and training purposes. We also have a hashtag, hashtag ABA Delhi, if any of you would like to tweet during the program. Secondly, we will also be maintaining a website, a web page dedicated to the resources that may be accessed by all of the colleagues here, and it will include the papers, rules, forms, sample role plays, etc., that may be helpful to our colleagues. We are also very hopeful that articles that are developed as a result of this summit or following this summit will be published in the Dispute Resolution Sections magazine, the CPR publication Alternatives, and possibly other law reviews or journals. We're very grateful to Ms. Sheila Purcell for her assistance in this matter. We also recognize that there may be many who express interest following this summit to bring experts in dispute resolution to their locality to offer training, technical assistance, mentoring, or other services to help build sustainable mediation programs. Professor Hal Abramson of Touro Law School has been leading our section's development of a partnership with the Rule of Law Initiative of the ABA, and we will be discussing over the next few days a process and format by which we hope to be able to provide assistance in the coming months and years. We will be creating a listserv for continuing communication and collaboration among all of the attendees. And finally, we will also be offering sessions at our annual conference in Seattle in April of this year. And we will have topics very much dedicated to the discussions that we have here. And the ABA Dispute Resolution Section is very pleased to offer complimentary membership in both the ABA and our section, and hope that you will consider attending that conference as well. I look forward to meeting all of you over the course of the summit. I hope that you have a wonderful time. I trust and hope that you will have a very rewarding personal and professional experience. I want to thank you all so much for participating in and supporting this summit. Namaste. I would like to please kindly request my colleagues from India, Mr. J.P. Singh, Mr. Sudhanshu Batra, Ms. Laila Olapalli, and Ms. Nandini Gore, to please come to the stage to present a bouquet to our dignitaries.
Thank you very much indeed for doing the honors of presenting bouquets and welcoming distinguished dignitaries. Once again, put your hands together. Thank you very much indeed. Thank you very much indeed, Ms. Geeta Ravindra, Chair, ABA Section of Dispute Resolution, for those kind words of welcome and for setting the theme of the summit. And now, ladies and gentlemen, I have the proud privilege in inviting Mr. Jim Silknet, immediate past President, American Bar Association, to kindly address the distinguished audience present here. Please put your hands together to welcome.
Good evening, everyone. It's my pleasure to welcome you tonight and to join you for this Asia-Pacific International Mediation Summit. On behalf of the American Bar Association and its 400,000 members, I thank the India Supreme Court, the Association of Indian Mediators, and UNCITRAL for being gracious hosts. And thanks also to the other organizations for putting this excellent event together. My connection to India goes back almost 35 years. I have done work here for the World Bank Group and have participated in various OECD and Bar Association meetings in India. I've had a chance to work with many of the most impressive lawyers, judges, and government officials in India over the years, and work on significant, difficult international matters with them. But my first visit here in the early 1980s is still the most memorable one for me, and for another reason, a more pedestrian, lower-key reason. It was simply, this is something I remember very vividly, I had the best meal here I have ever had in my entire life anywhere in the world. The memory of that Delhi butter chicken is still with me, and I look forward to trying to repeat it on this trip. The American Bar Association was founded 136 years ago, and today is one of the world's largest voluntary professional organizations, with members from all over the world and more than 3,500 different entities, including our wonderful dispute resolution section. The ABA is committed to 4 goals. 1, serving our members. 2, improving the legal profession. 3, eliminating bias and enhancing diversity. And 4, advancing the rule of law throughout the United States and around the world. We are committed to supporting the legal profession with practical resources for legal professionals while improving our own justice system and establishing model ethical codes. We also accredit law schools in the United States and play a role in selecting federal court judges in the United States, and much more. For example, during my year as president of the ABA, we focused on a number of timely and important topics for the lawyers, for the legal profession, and our country. Preventing gun violence, election law reform, immigration issues, and the financing of legal education. Those are all important issues to lawyers in the United States, and the ABA has a strong role in pursuing those issues. My principal initiative as president of the ABA was on access to justice issues, trying to match our nation's significant unmet legal needs, typically poor folks who are not able to afford lawyers, who do not have access to lawyers, with a large number of new lawyers, new graduates of law schools, seeking work after graduation. This year, American Bar Association President William Hubbard, who regretfully could not attend this summit, is leading an effort to improve the delivery of and access to legal services in the United States. Access to affordable legal services is critical in a society based on the rule of law. Yet American courts are seriously underfunded. Many who need legal advice cannot afford to hire a lawyer, and many are forced to represent themselves, or worse, not seek justice at all. In New York, the state where I practice, more than 2.5 million people are unrepresented in civil legal proceedings annually. And actually, in the United States, 80% of people in poverty do not obtain a lawyer for their legal problems. Like India, American courts serve a diverse population, and our nation's legal needs are growing. As the American legal profession has found, and the Indian legal system is also finding, alternative dispute resolution is one way to decrease the case backlog that impairs court effectiveness. It can also help resolve cases faster with less cost, enable individuals who cannot afford courts or manage their way within them to gain justice, and it contributes to strengthening the rule of law through processes and procedures that are considered fair and transparent. Alternative to dispute resolution provides thoughtful and appropriate outcomes, and the use of these processes lets the public know that lawyers and courts care to provide the best justice possible. We are proud that the ABA's dispute resolution section alone has more than 18,000 members. Section membership is comprised of attorneys and non-attorneys who offer a full range of services, including mediation, arbitration, teaching and training, representation of clients in alternative dispute resolution processes, and other dispute resolution services. The section also has law student members. It's an area of growing importance in the United States. The dispute resolution section has played a critical role in developing policies and standards on alternative dispute resolution in the United States and around the world. For example, the section played a lead role in the establishment of the United States model standards of conduct for mediators in 2005, the revised Uniform Arbitration Act, the Code of Ethics for Commercial Arbitrators, the Uniform Mediation Act, and a resolution on mediation and the unauthorized practice of law. The section promotes the use of alternative dispute resolution to the public and to legislatures around the United States. For example, the section created a public service announcement explaining the mediation process that ran on many major television networks in the United States. The section also publishes one of the leading publications in the field, Dispute Resolution Magazine, as well as many books on a variety of topics of interest to alternative dispute resolution practitioners. I am looking forward to discussing this and more on a panel tomorrow evening. So thank you again to everyone, including Geetha, Chair of the Dispute Resolution Section, for putting this excellent summit together. I look forward to our conversation over the next couple of days. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much indeed, sir, for your kind address. And now, ladies and gentlemen, I have the privilege in inviting Mr. Reno Suriel, Secretary of UNCITRAL and Director of the International Trade Law Division of the Office of Legal Affairs of the United Nations, to kindly address the distinguished audience present here. Please put your hands together to welcome Mr. Reno Suriel.
Thank you very much. Honorable judges, distinguished guests, dear friends, it's an honor and a particular pleasure for me to be here today and to have this opportunity to, first of all, thank our co-sponsors in the organization of this event and bring you greetings on behalf of the United Nations Commission on International Trade Law, its member states, and its secretariat. I should also probably say a word to thank and recognize the activity of our own UNCITRAL Regional Center for Asia and the Pacific, which has been actively engaged in the organization of this meaningful Asia-Pacific Mediation Summit. This event is a striking example of a fruitful engagement with prominent local, regional, and international stakeholders. I would only name a few: the American Bar Association, of course, the Association of Indian Mediators, and the International Institute for Conflicts Prevention and Resolution. And finally, as a member of the French judiciary, it gives me particular pleasure to note the generous and extensive support and participation by the Indian judiciary, and in particular the Supreme Court of India. In the few minutes I have tonight, I would like to do three things. First, give you a few general notions about UNCITRAL, tell you about our work in the field of dispute resolution, and focus perhaps more specifically on our most recent project on the enforcement of agreements coming out of settlement after a mediation or conciliation proceedings. First of all, UNCITRAL, now I apologize to those of you who are familiar with the institution, but experience shows that misconceptions are frequent about UNCITRAL. So why are we here today and what is UNCITRAL? UNCITRAL is a permanent commission of the General Assembly of the United Nations, and as such, established in 1966, it became the core legal body of the United Nations system in the field of international trade law. It has a coordinating role as a leading agency in the field of international trade law. Now, here I should immediately dispel a possible ambiguity about what covers this notion of trade law. We are, of course, not competing or in any way trespassing on the grounds of WTO. WTO deals with trade policy, and we deal with commercial law, business law, the law that governs in individual transactions that commercial parties are likely to become engaged in. Over the years, we became probably most known for our role as a lawmaking body within a political organization called the United Nations. The political aspects are not forgotten. For example, we are currently working on making it clear that progress and modernization of international commercial law can play a significant role in development, and as such should be taken into account in the drafting of sustainable goals for development in a post-2015 development agenda. That is the general framework of the United Nations and the extent to which we interact with it. As a lawmaking body, we have over the years produced a broad variety of legal standards. And when I say a broad variety, I really mean a broad range of instruments. We have probably covered all the spectrum from international conventions to practice notes and in between model laws, model contracts, legal guides, legislative guides, and other instruments. Indeed, the flexible approach to legal harmonization undertaken by UNCITRAL has been a key to its success over the years, as is the universality of its membership. I need not insist on the fact that India is currently a member state among 60 other member states, representing all regions and levels of development and legal and economic systems in the world. And to make things even more complete, whenever India is not a member, or any country that is not a member, can participate as a full observer in the work of UNCITRAL. We therefore are the community of business lawyers legislating for the world, as the case may be, or gathering best practices for use by commercial entities. When I say we legislate for the world, of course, that is slightly overstated. We do not legislate for anyone because as a United Nations body, our standards are essentially non-binding. Now that is, of course, a considerable limitation to our impact, but we've tried to turn it to our advantage over the years by making sure that UNCITRAL standards indeed became successful for the only reason that they worked. They demonstrated their ability to facilitate trade transactions and save transactional costs. Now, coming to the dispute resolution aspect, UNCITRAL is in many ways an offspring of the process that led in 1958 to the adoption of the New York Convention on Recognition and Enforcement of Arbitral Awards. I don't want to go into the details of the legislative history there. We have been, in short, filling the gaps left open by the New York Convention, which is a key instrument, of course, when it comes to enforcement, but doesn't tell you anything about what arbitration is and how it is to be conducted. And over the years, we created a broad variety of instruments, model law, model rules, to facilitate and indeed harmonize the modernization of arbitration law. In that process, working on arbitration, we became aware of conciliation and mediation, which is probably what is of most interest to you here tonight. I won't go into the history of our work On conciliation, just briefly, in 1981 we adopted rules on conciliation, the UNCITRAL rules on conciliation. In 2002 we adopted a model law, and we are now engaged in the preparation of something which has yet to be defined and will hopefully facilitate enforcement of mediated settlements. When it comes to dispute resolution, I think you should remember that UNCITRAL is a promoter of simple ideas. Whatever produces a binding decision we call arbitration, bearing in mind, of course, that we are not intervening directly in the field of court litigation. So far, and that may change, whatever produces settlement and does not result in a binding decision, we call conciliation. Now, that is extremely unsophisticated, of course, and I'm sure all of you will tell us much more during the coming 3 days as to the subtle distinctions that are be made between conciliation and mediation. But you should remember that, again, legislating for the world, trying to accommodate the concept of conciliation or mediation, where it may not have the rich history and not be the sort of success story it has become, in particular in South Asia or in Asia in general. We have to produce tools that are as simple as possible and, of course, leave it to the parties and the practice to develop the more sophisticated approach, as the case may be.